Recording has started. Excellent. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. Today I'm going to talk about the bootcamp applications for the energy modeling platforms in terms of how they work, what's the new modality that we've moved on to, and how CCG envisions capacity building from now onwards. Just a quick introduction to CCG. I'm sure many of you are familiar. CCG is a FCDO UK funded research program and aims to accelerate rollout of improved infrastructure that reduces GHG emissions and increases inclusive economic growth in LMICs. We work with some of the top universities in the UK and otherwise, and CCG is composed of three areas: country partnerships, international partnerships, and research. CCG's offer at a glance is composed of two elements. One is applied research, the other one is capacity building. Applied research focuses on promoting research and creation of new tools and research materials such as knowledge products that can be used up for energy planning purposes and otherwise. And capacity building focuses on creating tools, products, and services for the utilization of capacity building and improving energy planning accordingly. Now, as stated, CCG was composed of three parts, and one of the parts that we're going to talk about today is the international partnerships, specifically the capacity building offer under international partnerships. On the right, you can see some of our products that are available, and these can be found all on our website with the link on the PowerPoint presentation, which will be shared as well with the video. And essentially, what's important to note is that under international partnerships, CCG wants to build capacity in a sustainable manner, which means that once CCG intervenes and builds capacity in a certain place, we then provide the necessary tools, material, and further support mechanisms to ensure that capacity does not need to be built again. And there is full ownership of the tools and the energy modeling products, and capacity can be built later on by the given institution, country, research group, or otherwise. And there is no need for continuous capacity building or intervention from international organizations or consultants otherwise. Now, to move on to the meat of this conversation, which are the energy modeling platforms. So, up to date, and we will call this the past, CCG has held 13 energy modeling platforms, training over 800 participants. The format of attendance to the EMPs previously was the following, and to the previous format I'll be referring to as one-off attendance, and this is then later encaptured in some of our other products. Essentially, participants applied as individuals. Participation was based on single attendance to an EMP with no direct follow-up mechanism in place. Commitment letters acted as insurance that participants would implement the knowledge they've gained in various formats. So this would be university courses, national planning model utilization, or otherwise. The issue that we had with our past mode of engagement was that we found that single attendance format with no long-term support made it difficult for certain participants to fully actualize their goals that were stated in commitment letters. This was because either lack of internal resource, lack of time, or just an inability to progress on further. So, to overcome this, we've designed the bootcamps, which is the future of capacity building under international partnership. And essentially, the bootcamps aim to support participants with achievements of their goals as stated on the commitment letters. And the bootcamps essentially work on a three-tiered system. It envisions a long-term CCG support, utilization of various CCG offers, and team participation. And essentially, as you can see on the funnel, the combination of these leads to achievement of desired goals. The EMPs are part of the bootcamp engagement, with the bootcamps having the following elements. Bootcamp envisions a team attendance, provides a dedicated team coach to support the production of an output, and bootcamps envision an engagement of at least 6 months long. So what this means is that the bootcamps are much wider than an EMP and utilize many of the products from the CCG's capacity building offer. They essentially package them up to create a long-term engagement service to ensure that our participants can achieve the goals that they want to achieve and are not left alone. To put this visually, you can see that the bootcamp essentially in the center is composed of all of these various services and products, which include the EMC, having coaches, badges, train-the-trainer mechanism, additional workshops, as well as the EMPs. So EMPs form a part of the bootcamp. A bootcamp is much bigger than a EMP. Now, in setting up these bootcamps, there is currently 4 modalities. These are most likely going to change to 5. This is, however, not yet fully determined. From the 4 modalities of bootcamps that are available, it's important to note that each of the modalities of the bootcamps are for a specific audience. There's the Scholars Bootcamp, aimed at academics who would like to publish a paper. There's the Flatpak Bootcamp, aimed at academics who would like to embed CCG and partner tools in their universities. There's the Partners Bootcamp, which is aimed at international organizations or otherwise who are conducting technical assistance programs and would like to outsource their capacity building to us. Then there's the Data to Deal Bootcamp, which is aimed primarily at affiliate countries, meaning countries that we work with but are not necessarily directly partners with. And the Data to Deal Bootcamp also envisions the intervention of an international organization with being an option. Is my screen visible? Because there is a message asking. Yes, the screen should be visible, Hagos.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, excellent. Glad to hear. So now to move on, what do we have? We have the Scholars Bootcamp. Now, the Scholars Bootcamp, as stated, aimed at academics, envisions a group attendance, envisions attendance of the team to at least 2 EMPs in general, necessitates that a team must develop a research paper whereby 2 tools from the impact framework are connected. I'll talk about this in a second. Has the possibility of an additional in-country event for paper finalization. So the duration of a typical Scholars Bootcamp is 6 to 12 months long. We currently have 2 groups undergoing the Scholars Bootcamp, Jimma University from Ethiopia and the University of Ibadan from Nigeria. So just to display the impact framework, this is a connection of the tools that CCG has developed, whereby different tools that we have on training can be combined for a much thorough and in-depth analysis. And essentially for the Scholars Bootcamp, a team is required to connect at least the 2 of these tools, whether it be MAD and osmosis, which is the case at Jimma University in Ethiopia, or let's say clues and FinPlan, which is the case of University of Ibadan in Nigeria. A typical Scholars Bootcamp engagement would look something like this. However, this is subject to change. Essentially, before attending an EMP after acceptance, a team coach is dedicated to a team where the research project is defined, timelines are created, and deliverables are agreed upon. Team attends the first EMP. After that, they build their first model. Team attends the second EMP. After that, they build their second model. Then there is an element of connecting the 2 models together, producing the final research paper. There is the additional event right at the end of it where there's the finalization of a write-up. The Flatpak Bootcamp, similar to the Scholars Bootcamp in many elements, is aimed at academics, has group attendance, envisions attendance of participants to an EMP with potential of a second EMP, is supported by a team coach upon acceptance. The Flatpak Bootcamp is typically a bit shorter. It's around 6 months long. However, it can go beyond that. And currently, CCG is engaging with more than 20 universities across the Global South to support the implementation of CCG tools into curricula. To show this visually, this is the countries that we are either engaging with or we have completed the embedding of our tools and products. This map is a tiny bit outdated and there is some elements that are missing from it. And the Flatpak Bootcamp process, again, very similar to the Scholars Bootcamp process. Essentially, there's an EMP where candidates are accepted into the bootcamp and they attend the training event. After that, we help them redesign the curriculum with the support of a coach. And then there is the implementation of the tool in the teaching curricula. Ideally, when engaging in either a Scholars Bootcamp or a Flatpak Bootcamp, the team will then engage in the other bootcamp as well. So let's say if you start with the Flatpak one, we will then try to help you to go into a Scholars Bootcamp as well, and vice versa. That would be the ideal aim. Now, the Partners Bootcamp, aimed at technical assistance of international organizations, whereby the team undergoing the TA attends the bootcamp and has a deliverable that they're working towards. This could be a decarbonization paper, electrification strategy, or something equivalent. The Partners Bootcamp has a group attendance as well. The number is decided by the international organization in question. It envisions attendance of participants to 2 EMPs or more, depending on the number of tools and the scope of work. It is supported by a coach upon acceptance who overlooks the project development and delivery. The duration of a Partners Bootcamp is 6 to 18 months. Recent examples include us supporting the Ministry of Infrastructure in Rwanda with MIAT training and maize-based model development in partnership with the Danish Energy Agency and the International Renewable Energy Agency. The Partners Bootcamp process is the following. It's quite similar to the Scholars Bootcamp process, however, there's some differences in it. So essentially, before attending the first EMP with the country coach, project is defined, deliverable is defined, what needs to be analyzed is defined. Team attends the first EMP. In between that and the second EMP, the team works on building up their model, and this is done in coordination with the IO and government where possible. Team attends the second EMP. After that, they continue with the development of the model. Then essentially they end up finalizing this into a concrete product, which is then delivered to government. The Data to Deal Bootcamp, which is the only bootcamp that is not directly application-based through EMPs, is a much wider sort of engagement. Here is where, with an IO or a government, CCG also is involved in things like stakeholder engagement, stakeholder mapping, financing, drawing up of financial strategies, and otherwise. The format of it is very similar to the Partners Bootcamp. Again, countries, and it's with affiliate countries, has group attendance, envisions attendance of participants to 2 or more EMPs, is supported by a country coach, and has additional support from CCG if necessary. The Data to Deal Bootcamp is by far the longest engagement that CCG offers, 12 to 24 months. And essentially, it's about creating a full package starting from energy modeling and high-level buy-in into financing of specific projects. To display this is what the Data to Deal process looks like. It's quite a linear process, although in practice it does not necessarily work linearly. And here you can see where CCG would intervene with partners and otherwise. Just to restate, Data to Deal Bootcamp is the only one that does not have an application through an EMP. So, to give the overall bootcamp's overview, this table summarizes essentially who's the bootcamp aimed at, what's the support package, the duration, funding, and how to apply. So you can see that the Scholars Bootcamp and the Flatpak Bootcamp are applied by an EMP application link, and the Partners Bootcamp is applied through discussions, and then the EMP application link. The Data to Deal Bootcamp is purely based on discussion. And now with this, I want to talk about the implication of bootcamps on EMP applications, which is the purpose of this meeting. So in moving from bootcamp modality of support, this implies changes to the EMP application. Starting with EMP-A 2026, every EMP will have the following options to which participants can apply. One-off attendance, which was the classical EMP attendance, Scholars Bootcamp, Flatpak Bootcamp, and Partners Bootcamp. So what does this apply? This means that for a given EMP, applicants now can apply for a direct long-term engagement under a bootcamp, compared to the previous one-off attendance. Upon acceptance to a bootcamp, their first engagement, EMP engagement, will likely be the EMP that they applied for. So let's say for EMP-A 26, if you apply for a Scholars Bootcamp as a team, chances are your first EMP engagement will be EMP-A 26. It is possible that this is not the case. This would depend on where the country team is based and the associated cost with it. However, in principle, this is where we want to move, that as teams apply for bootcamps, their first EMP is the one that they attend to. So, an important element to note is that people can still apply for the one-off attendance as they've done previously. However, applications for the bootcamps will be prioritized for the following tools: Osmosis, Clues, FinPlan, MIAD, Onset, and the Energy Access Explorer. This is because CCG aims to create a much more long-term engagement with participants, ensuring that we're able to support participants in order to achieve their desired outcomes. One-off attendance applications are encouraged for participants who have a direct funder other than CCG and do not require CCG funding to attend the event. So this means either you're funding yourself or you're engaging with another organization such as Sustainable Energy for All, International Renewable Energy, or the International Energy Agency, and they're funding your attendance to an EMP. In these instances, you can apply for one-off attendance, and it is encouraged that you do so. For the one-off attendance, to be eligible for the selection process, it's the same as it has been before for the previous EMPs. We would need personal data from yourself, the OU course certificate for the tool that you would like to be trained in, the OU course certificate for modeling policy and political economy course, a letter of motivation, and a commitment letter. For specific details on this, when you're applying to an EMP, as you click on the link of application, you will be given 4 options for application. Please select the one of attendance and the blue arrow afterwards, then you will get the full details. Now, the Scholars Bootcamp. For the Scholars Bootcamp, application must be made by a team. Alumni, non-alumni, or a team composed of both alumni and non-alumni can apply. So that means if, for example, person X attended an EMP, now they've linked up with their colleague who has not attended an EMP, they can form a team together and apply. That is okay. In fact, the team from University of Ibadan is precisely like that. So to be eligible for the selection process, the team must provide the personal data of the team members, attach a team's research plan. The details of this can be found on the link of this presentation or under the bootcamp section of the Climate Compatible Growth website. Again, this presentation will be shared afterwards, so the links will be active in it. There needs to be a stamped letter of commitment from the institution, a letter of motivation. On top of this, for the alumni, if in a group there's an alumni who's attended a previous EMP, they would need to upload their OU course certificate. If it's a new member, they would need to complete the course and upload the certificate as well. So the OU certificates are a must regardless of being an alumni or a newcomer. And there's also the certificate need for the modeling policy and political economy course. Similarly to the one-off applications, to find out the full details of what's required for the application. As you apply for a given EMP, you'll be given 4 options. Please select Scholars Bootcamp, click on the blue arrow, and you'll be redirected to a page with full details on it. Flatpak Bootcamp applications are very similar to the Scholars Bootcamp applications. Again, they apply for alumni, non-alumni, or a team composed of alumni and non-alumni. We would need your personal details. We would need a completed version of the Flatpak information gathering template. This can be found on Zenodo and is linked to this presentation. The link to this can also be found under the bootcamp section of the Climate Compatible Growth website. We would also need a letter of commitment, a letter of motivation, your team's previous open university completion course certificates, and the modeling policy and political economy course certificates. For specific details on what needs to be on the application, again, as you click on an EMP application link, you will be given 4 options. Select Flatpak Bootcamp, click on the blue arrow, and you'll be redirected to a page with the full details on it. For the Partners Bootcamp applications, this works slightly differently. If you would like to apply for the Partners Bootcamp and the partner keen to outsource their capacity building activities to CCG should contact myself directly. My email is listed on the page, so you can see that. After holding the discussions, the relevant party will be instructed on how to complete the applications. It is important to note that if there is a government team who is keen to undergo an EMP and has the government, an international organization, or other body funding their work, this would typically come under the Partners Bootcamp. So in such instances, please contact me directly again, and we can hold discussions of how to actualize it. Essentially, the Partners Bootcamp is all about if you want to outsource your capacity building, or if there's a government team that already wants to attend an EMP and has some sort of funding backing, please contact us and we can make that possible. So I think this brings us to the end of this presentation. I've set the scene of essentially all the elements involved and how the EMP applications have changed. Just to rewind, I'm going to go back over here and stress that now when you apply to an EMP, there's 4 options. The bootcamp options for application are indeed prioritized over the one-off attendance options of application. And these are prioritized for osmosis, clues, FinPlan, MIDE, onset, and EAE. Otherwise, if you are coming out of your own sources or if there's somebody funding your attendance, please apply for the one-off attendance. And essentially, the aim for us through doing the boot camps is to ensure that you're supported all the way through to produce impactful products of knowledge that will make a difference in your country. I'm going to pause on this slide and open the floor to questions. Please feel free to raise a virtual hand or turn on your mic and just ask a question if there is any questions. Praveen. You're muted. I cannot hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I got it out actually regarding the two members are must for this boot camp. So the second member has to be from the same university where I work, or can it be an alumni of the same institute?
It doesn't have to be from the same university. It is encouraged that the person is from the same university, but it does not have to be from the same university. So
Okay.
just to give an example as well, for the Scholars Bootcamp we're engaging in now, it's the University of Ibadan and it's another university based out of Abuja that is doing the paper together.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure. There is a question in the chat as well, I believe. If we want to publish a research paper, we must form a team for the Scholars Bootcamp. Yes, Atik, that would be the idea. So to receive full support from our end in order to publish a paper, you apply to the Scholars Bootcamp with a team and connect two of the tools from the impact framework. So just to go to the impact framework, this is the one we're talking about. It is possible to receive support from us on publishing a paper without undergoing a Scholars Bootcamp. But in this instance, CCG will not support you in the development of the paper and the finalization of the paper. It's the case that you would do everything on your own, and then upon an availability of a special issue opening from our end, you can submit the paper for publication. The Scholars Bootcamp is more of a means for us to help you to get there, basically. That would be the idea. Does that answer your question?
So basically, we have to learn a few tools in order to publish a paper, like in order to become the part of a scholar bootcamp, or we can learn a one tool and we can like publish a paper on that as well.
So as part of the Scholar Bootcamps, it has to be two tools. It's a must. So let's say if you've, sorry for the bubbles, I have this effect on mic that brings them. Essentially, let's say onset and osmosis. That would be the way you would do it. So let's say if you've undergone osmosis now, and the way it could work is that you find another team member. Let's say this person wants to learn FinPlan. If it's a team of two, you've already done osmosis, you know what to do. We already provide you with the coach and you begin to do your modeling. The other person will get trained on FinPlan and then they will support you on that end. But the idea is that, yes, there's going to be two tools. If you do not want to do two tools and you want to do one, in this instance right now, we don't have a precise support mechanism. We're developing something, but it's not there just yet. Cool. Yes, the PowerPoint will be shared after this. Hagos, please. Yes, Hagos, you have your hand up. You're muted. I can't hear you if you're saying something.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I'd like to add one question to ATQ. Just we will apply for the Bitcoin Scholar scholarship becomes, but it needs at least to include or to interlink two tools, at least two tools from the CCG. Therefore, how can we address these two tools, at least two tools from one team? Can we apply individually can we apply for one tool or for two tools? Just we write. I know we will write a proposal, a clear proposal, and for which tools we will include, and how can we in the training, how can we catch up these two tools?
So to answer that question, we have in fact created material that helps you take the results of one tool and embed them into the other tool so that the data flow is already there. And essentially the idea is the following: it has to be two tools. You decide on the tools. So the tools are available on the Open Learn collection. You can go read on them, see what makes sense in terms of the research you're doing, in terms of how to connect them. And the way it works is that in team, you then split between each other on who does which tool, right? So it depends on the composition of the team as well. For example, at the University of Jimma, there is currently 5 people undergoing the Scholars Bootcamp. 2 of them are on osmosis, 2 of them are on MAED, and there's a person that is both. So it has been trained in both tools and knows how to work them correctly. That is the way that it would work, that you split the team up, and then some people are responsible for one bit, some people are responsible for the other bit, and then in the end, you put the research together.
Okay, yeah, I have one more additional question.
Yes.
You know, for the scholars Bitcom, there is a huge effort. We will invest a lot of time and effort. I think in a group, we will do a clear end. A clear end sound for research, I think so, but it needs some data collection and some transport and some accommodations. I think in TCG there is no any funding or there is no any grant fund for such research. So how can we does any some compensation mechanisms or for such efforts?
Not directly through CCG, no. So basically through the Scholars Bootcamp, if a team is successful, CCG supports with their participation in the EMPs. CCG provides the coach. CCG supports participation to the additional event as well. But right now on the international partnerships capacity building, there is no research grants per se. These are elements that we're working on and that we're developing, but it does not exist for the moment, no.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So Praveen, do you have a question?
Yeah. I got a small doubt. Like I'm doing my research under a professor in my institute. So is it a possibility that if the work culminate to a research paper, can I also bring him on board in the other list or something? Would it be a possibility or?
Could you clarify? I didn't quite understand the question.
No, actually, is it possible, like if I am doing research under a professor in my institute, so can I include him also part of the other list of the publication?
Yes, that's completely up to you. Yes, that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. There's a question, Gordon Valasai. If you mentioned the Scholars Bootcamp, could you please provide a quick rewind? Sure, I'll be happy to do that. So, apologies for that. So the Scholars Bootcamp. Scholars Bootcamp aimed at academics, group attendance, envisions attendance of team to 2 EMPs, is supported by a coach, necessitates that the teams must develop a research paper whereby 2 tools from the impact framework are connected, and has a possibility of additional in-country event. So 6 to 12 months is the usual engagement time. This is the impact framework. So essentially you would have to be using 2 of the tools from here in utilizing your research and connecting them up. We have the material for that to support you. And the process looks something like this. So you apply to, let's say through EMP-A, you apply for the Scholars Bootcamp, you're selected, we assign you a coach, you begin to work on your research project together. So doing things like creating timeline, deliverables, responsibilities. You attend an EMP and you receive a training. If you've already been trained, then you receive training in the second tool. Then you work on your research project with the coach supervising you. You go to the second EMP if necessary and do more training. After that, you continue to work on your research project and then you publish the paper. And ideally, we have an event towards the end of it where there's the write-up of the paper, where you and the coach meet with your team and finalize the paper. Is that a good enough overview for yourself, Alassi? Yeah, so a thumbs up. Excellent. So, any other questions at this point?
Download the
Just give it another minute or two for any other questions. Glad to hear, Pravin. Cool. Excellent. So in that case, I think we can wrap up. What's going to happen is this video will shortly be uploaded on YouTube and the PowerPoint presentation will be attached to the bottom of it. So you can go and download it from there. I will also try to share the PowerPoint presentation through my LinkedIn, so you can download it directly from there as well. Thank you everyone for attending. I'm going to stop recording now.